What is going on, Twintendo Nation? It's been a while since I've been on YouTube. I've been really busy with university work, and that's going to be finished around the first week of February, so I won't be uploading consistently until then, so just bear with me. But I've got some interesting Pokemon GO news for you guys. Now, this actually came out in around middle of December, so I'm not sure if anyone has reported on this. Like I said, I haven't been on YouTube in like a month, but I wanted to report on it anyway, just in case, because I know quite a lot of people check my channel for Pokemon GO stuff, so I'm just going to report it anyway. And there's a lot of new information about gyms, teams, all sorts, and it's really interesting, and I feel like a lot of people have missed out on this, so I'm going to be talking about it. And yeah, let's just jump into it. Now, if you want to read the interview yourself, by the way, links in the description. It's pretty interesting, definitely have a read. It's quite long, but there's a lot of information that'll get you really interested for Pokemon GO. So first of all, let's talk about the new information. So these are all direct quotes from the interview. Now, the interview was conducted by VentureBeat, and it's with the Niantic Chief Marketing Officer Mike Quigley and the CEO John Hank. So let's start off with the new information. So the CEO John Hank says Ingress is a game you conquer portals, and in Pokemon obviously you'd go out into the real world and find Pokemon and battle them against other players and trade them and go to gyms. That's pretty interesting because we didn't know about gyms. We know about battling and trading because we've seen that in the original trailer, but nothing about gyms. He says that's how it's going to work, let's do it. So that's pretty interesting. Like I said, gyms we knew nothing about. We speculated that they were going to be in it. Don't know how they're going to work really, but there is a bit more information about them later on in the interview. Now let's go on to how you're going to find Pokemon. And a lot of people ask me this question. I live in a really remote area. This is what the comments I get. I live in a really remote area. Will I be able to play Pokemon GO? And this kind of pretty much answers your question. So Hank again says, even if you're in a small town, I grew up in a town of 1,000 people in Texas. We had that as a design goal. If we're going to build a game that works with location, it has to be fun for people anywhere to play. In small towns as well as San Francisco. So San Francisco as an example of a big city, I guess. If we designed something that only worked in San Francisco, it wouldn't be a real success. We wanted it to work globally. Our goal is to make it so you can walk out of the house and within 5 minutes you can find Pokemon. It may not be the most rare Pokemon in the world, but there'll be a population of Pokemon living near all our players. So that's interesting, because obviously a lot of people are thinking Pokemon GO is going to only really work for those living in the bigger areas, the bigger cities. Because in Ingress, obviously, you find portals on landmarks in cities, kind of famous places, not necessarily like really famous places like the Eiffel Tower, something like that. It'd basically be like statues, parks, and stuff like that. And obviously, in rural areas or places with little population, there's not going to be these landmarks. But it looks like Pokemon GO is going to be working everywhere, which is great, and hopefully they'll stick to that kind of promise, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who want this game who are living away from these cities, and hopefully they'll enjoy the game as much as someone like me who does live in a city. Now let's move on to gyms. This is kind of a really interesting kind of topic to talk about, and there's not much information about this. They've kind of briefly mentioned it, but then also kind of given us a bit of information, which is cool because we didn't even know they existed. So basically all that Hank says is gyms will be a bit more rare, so you'll have to find gyms like walking around as you do. I'm not sure if they're going to be attached to like monuments like parks and stuff, but it says you want to find gyms so you can level up your Pokemon and battle there, so it will take a little more effort to get there. So what that could mean is gyms are actually maybe outside of those rural areas, because he says obviously it'll take a little more effort to get there, or it could mean like you're going to have to be walking around for a while and then you'll encounter a gym. Honestly, don't know how that's going to work. And we don't know if there's going to be any gym leaders, if the gym's going to be moving about or they're in like static positions in the world. We don't know how many gyms there could be. Like I said, it could literally be how many steps you take, or there could be locations in the world. And talking about locations in the world, they're actually location-specific Pokemon. This is kind of interesting and it's sort of disappointing in a way, but this is more realistic. So I guess if you ever wanted that realistic Pokemon experience, you're going to like this part. So Pokemon will live in different parts of the world depending on what type of Pokemon they are. Water Pokemon will live near the water. It may be that certain Pokemon will only exist in certain parts of the world. Very rare Pokemon will exist in very few places, but you can trade. If you live in a place with lots of water Pokemon and you come to an event, you can basically just trade a lot of water Pokemon away. So what this is saying is location specific Pokemon, that's going to be, a thing in the game. We kind of knew that because in the original trailer we saw, like, it said city and highlands. You could see the different locations in the original trailer, and you could probably guess that Pokemon were going to vary depending on where you went. Now, I didn't actually expect them to say very rare Pokemon may exist in very few places, because obviously Like, if you're lucky enough to be living in the few places where very rare Pokemon are, you're going to be sitting on a Pokemon GO gold mine. It's going to be pretty unfair, I guess, maybe, because I'm not sure if you'd be able to get like most of the Pokemon, but you know, they can't really help it. That's how they're going to do it. Now, I don't know what Pokemon they mean by very rare. I'm not sure if they mean legendaries, because it seemed like Mewtwo was like a Pokemon GO event Pokemon. You know, everyone goes to a certain location and everyone has a chance to catch it. It could mean like, I don't know, like the pseudo legendaries like Garchomp, Dragonite, Goodra, stuff like that. Like, you know, the top tier Pokemon, not, you know, legendary Pokemon, but close. Like, it'd be interesting if Mew lived in the Amazon rainforest, because obviously that's kind of like how it was in the Pokemon anime. It was in South America, I think it said, and it looked like it was in the Amazon rainforest. So that'd be pretty cool if they had something like that. Obviously, you know, that's really out the way, and not many people who play Pokemon GO will be able to go there. But wouldn't that make the experience more fun of finding Mew, going to the Amazon rainforest, encountering it, catching it? That would feel really realistic, and there'd probably be, you know, some people who have a lot of money and, you know, are massive Pokemon fans who would probably go do that. Sadly, that is not me, but maybe one day. But anyway, let's move on to Pokemon GO events, something I was kind of talking about earlier with the Mewtwo thing. Now, Hank also says we'll have events for Pokemon as well, because they had Ingress events earlier, and those are competitive, but they can also be places to trade stuff with other players. Pokemon trading is going to be huge. You can't get all of them by yourself in terms of Pokemon. If you want all of them, you'll have to trade with other players, or you have to be someone who takes time off work and travels the world for a year. There may be people who do that. Yeah, like, most of us will not be able to do that, sadly. I'd love to travel the world and like fill up the Pokedex. We don't know how many Pokemon they're going to be, by the way. Still not confirmed whether it's 151 or 720. We honestly have no clue, but hopefully, you know, I think that first trailer might just be nostalgia bait, showing off the original Pokemon, getting all the older fans back into Pokemon, and then they're going to release the game with, you know, the newer Pokemon. But it seems to be like trading is going to be a massive thing. I'm not sure if GTS is going to be kind of involved again. You know, you can trade wherever you are, or it has to be like phone-to-phone contact. Kind of hoping it's phone-to-phone contact because it's more realistic that way. I think that would be really cool. And also going to be talking about the Pokemon GO Plus, which is the wristband kind of thing, the additional thing. You don't have to have the wristband to play. Few people are confused about that. It's just an additional thing that kind of improves the Pokemon GO experience. So I'm just going to be talking about a few details that Hank talked about, John Hank, and it basically says it vibrates and flashes when you're near Pokemon. When they press a button in a certain sequence, they capture it. Then later on you can look at it together on your phone or tablet. It's Fitbit-ish in terms of size. Now, if you guys don't know, Fitbits are, again, like an additional thing you have when you do exercise. It measures your heart rate. I think it does like calorie loss and stuff like that. There's a lot of things like that. And, you know, this Pokemon GO Plus is going to be very similar. Additional things. You don't have to have one if you want to, like, play the game. And it's the same with Fitbits. You don't have to have one if you want to do exercise. But anyway, with the Pokemon GO Plus, they say the battery lasts a long time, which is good because I feel like I'm always charging something every day, like constantly. You don't have to worry about charging all the time. This is a multicolour LED and button. You'll notice that it's a Google Map pen with the Pokeball shape and colour fused together. You can imagine kids going to school with this on their backpack. So basically what it's saying is it has multicolour LEDs, which could be interesting because obviously when a Pokemon shows up, it's going to flash a certain colour, and it's apparently it vibrates. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Now the multicolour LED thing is pretty interesting. I'm not sure whether there's going to be different notifications. For example, passing by another person with a Pokemon GO Plus. That would be really cool because that'd be, you know, a way to find new players and make new friends. That's what I really want for this Pokemon GO Plus. And, you know, there could be other things like maybe finding items, flash a different colour. I'm not sure if you can find items, but I don't see why not. You can do it in Pokemon games. They say they want to emulate it, you know, a Pokemon game as close as possible. And there's also a button. Now it says when you press that in a certain sequence, you capture the Pokemon. So I'm not sure whether you have to battle wild Pokemon or you can just instantly catch them, because it makes it sound like you're not looking at your phone, you press the button and you've caught the Pokemon. I'm not sure how that's going to work. That's something interesting. It would be pretty rubbish if you just catch the Pokemon by pressing the button and, you know, not battle the Pokemon. Or is it like you press the button and your Pokemon will, you know, automatically battle the Pokemon and catch it off screen? That would kind of be better, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But anyway, an interesting point, again, this is something confirmed that we didn't know about, and that's teams. So Hank says there will be teams to join in Pokemon, more than 2. Those teams will compete against one another. And the interviewer says the sort of thing that exists within the fiction already, so basically the fictional Pokemon world. And Hank says, yeah, with different gyms and teams and trainers. So I'm not sure whether you can become a gym leader or, you know, join a team like Team Rocket, Team Magma, Team Aqua, sort, you know, Team Plasma. You could go on. Or like maybe different types of trainer, you know, teams. So for example, Ace trainers, you know, all sorts like that, swimmer trainers, triathletes, whatever. You know, there's loads. I could go on. There's like 100 different trainers. I'm not sure if it's teams like that or it's just going to be like 10 teams. Interesting though, very, very interesting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Now if you enjoyed what you heard in this, make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure to share it with all your other Pokemon Go friends. We want to basically spread the word about Pokemon Go. We want as many players as we can get so we can have a really, really good time when this game comes out. Also guys, I've done many more Pokemon Go videos before, so if you haven't seen them, there's going to be 2 on screen. Definitely check them out. Be really, really appreciated. I'm actually going to be making a Pokemon Go video in the next couple of days, which is the top 10 things I want to see in Pokemon Go. So it's like my wish list basically. So if you're looking forward to that, definitely stay tuned on this channel. Basically hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any further Pokemon Go videos. I'm actually going to be going into more detail on basically all these things that we've seen in the interview, basically discussing how I think they're going to work and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys are really hyped for Pokemon Go, because I know I am. I wasn't really at first, it's interesting, but now I really, really am after reading this interview, and I can't wait to see how it looks. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you on the next video. Peace!